This is the Hidden Killers podcast with Tony Brueski,
featuring former FBI Special Agent and Chief of the Counterintelligence Behavioral Analysis Program, Dreeke.
Being a parent really doesn't have to be rocket science. None of us are perfect at it. There is no guidebook for it. It's trial and error sometimes. But if you're really putting your best foot forward, you're probably going to do at least an okay job. If you're going above and beyond in methods to destroy, humiliate, and torture your children, things are not going to work out very well. Shanda Vander Ark being charged with just that, including the murder of her own son because of malnourishment and years of torture. There's no other word for it. When we look at the details of this, we're talking about ice baths. We're talking about feeding a child hot sauce on bread, and not just Tabasco type hot sauce. We're talking like the Carolina Reaper, the stuff you go into the special shops for, where you touch a drop and it makes you sweat profusely for days. That kind of stuff. Just utterly insane ways of treating any sort of living creature. That's what she's up on. She's even gone on the stand, in fact, to testify for herself, to say, oh, well, it's because of this, it's because of that. Things like this, there are no reasoning that can pull anybody into understanding this behavior, helping us to try and break this down a little bit. Dreeke, retired FBI special agent. Robin, the word evil's been thrown around. I've been saying evil, malevolent. It just seems like it even goes beyond mental illness with something like this, the depravity that someone is able to take on and exhibit towards their own children. What do you make of this case?
Really, and our mutual friends that we've chatted with before, Dr. Chris Mahandi, as he says in his book, this is a severely broken brain. It's infanticide is one of the most horrendous things that we experience, I think, in our society. And oftentimes in infanticide cases, parents will somewhat try to justify behaviors for compassion, and come up with rationalizations. This doesn't even have a rationalization you can do with it. This is just pure psychotic. Unfortunately, it's as straightforward as I think you can get on these cases. This woman needs to go away and never touch another human being. She's so severely broken in that brain. It's sad. And the tragic thing is that she had kids.
Yeah, she had kids, and the thing is, there's still, there's one that's now gone into state custody. The other is an adult. He is also being tried. His name is Paul. He's 21 years old now, and he testified in court just the other day against his mother, a plea deal of some sort going on for lesser penalties when he is tried, if he is tried. But when I saw his testimony the other day, I couldn't help but feeling horrible for this kid, too. Yes, he's charged. Yes, he is an adult. But when this is the recipe that you're made with, I don't know that anyone could really expect much less than him being complicit in what mom wants him to do, because that really feels like what he was doing, almost Norman Bates-ish.
Yeah, 100%. We're all born genetically and biologically, and we have our differences because of those things and our evolution and all that entails the nature part, but the nurture part, when it takes over, and if there's isolation involved in any way or lack of any sort of normal, healthy interactions, we become a really product of a lot of our environment, and he became a part of his environment. The fact that they even got him to testify against his mother is pretty profound, I think, because he's brainwashed. He's highly subjective to that really unhealthy, horrendous behavior. So at least some semblance of maybe right or wrong did creep in to be able to do that, or maybe not at all. I didn't see the complete details, but the fact that maybe he saw right or wrong, or maybe he just did it because his lawyers got him to do it. I'm not sure.
I know. Judging from his testimony, he did seem to have genuine remorse and knew that some of these things were wrong. I think there was an extreme fear of his mom, of what are the consequences going to be. Considering this is a trial about the child that was killed, a 15-year-old special needs child that died of malnourishment. So they didn't really go into great detail on how Paul had been abused. God knows, I'm sure it's there. But the level of which one would have to condition another child to go along with such things of, hey, Yeah, go put him in the ice bath. Feed him hot sauce on the bread. And then you'd go, well, that's what mom wants. I don't know that it was that passive, but there's something that was pushed so far in him that he was able to say, I'm got to do this. At one point, he did put his foot down a little, but still.
I'm going to draw probably one of the only kind of similarity, I think, or comparison in history we can give this is think of the concentration camps at Auschwitz.
Yeah.
It literally was exactly that, where you actually had capos, which were other prisoners that were placed above Jewish prisoners, and they were told to do these horrendous things to their fellow Jews or their fellow prisoners by the Nazis and the SS. Mm-hmm. And they didn't want to, but the fear, and you hit it right there, the fear of reciprocity, the fear of their own lives if they didn't do that, is extremely compelling. When we are broken down to our core elements of a biological organism, which in this case, when you're under severe duress, like she placed her children under, a lot of our actions take place out of self-preservation and fear. And you will do almost anything, depending on the person, depending on circumstances, and all these other data points that we aren't aware of most times, to do all we can to maintain our own humanity, at the same time maintain our own life. And so only he can judge if he felt a threat to life, and I guarantee you felt a threat to his life and well-being, but at the same time you're feeling tragically remorseful over it. I mean, literally the best comparison from the readings I've done on this are literally Auschwitz, Dachau, and all these places where survivors' guilt, having come through it, is tremendous in these situations. And I really hope this boy gets the kind of help he needs to get through this, because he's a victim in this regard. And he's got to be accountable for his actions according to the law. That's what our systems are based around. But at the same time, though, he was as much a victim as his sibling.
I agree. I mean, when you have something like this, he's going to go through his own penalty phase and such when that comes about. But what I am wondering, is there hope for this kid? Is there hope for how does someone move on from this when this is all you know? This is now what you're being charged. You're repeating the actions of the horrible person that raised you. But hopefully you're at a breaking point saying, this is not who I want to be. This is not good at all, recognizing that. I mean, in a comparison to the Nazis and compared to those victims there that were forced to do those things in survival mode, how do people move forward in life and have any sort of semblance of a normal, healthy life after being exposed to things like this?
A lot of good professional counseling, tons, and maybe never. It's really hard to tell in these circumstances without a professional consulting on this, because some people might not ever be able to come back from it. You can't draw the comparison to product of sexual abuse, because a lot of times those that are sexually abused become abusers themselves, and their recidivism on those types of crimes is high. It's almost 100%. Those, a lot of those things can't be cured. But in this case, if it's not the case, it's a different set of circumstances. So I believe there's hope for his future in overcoming this. But again, it's not a journey that's taken alone, not even close. It needs a lot of loving support, a lot of counseling, and be surrounded continuously by healthy relationships that can demonstrate to him what healthy looks like, as long as the most important thing is that he has a desire to, which sounds like he does.
Yeah, one would hope that he's able to get that help that he will certainly need to move on in life. Overall, just a shocking story. I mean, someone like this, at the end of the day, there's the prison that hopefully she goes to and never gets out of. But I mean, is this, how about her? I mean, someone who is able to get from, the point of being recognized as a fairly, I guess, normal mom to some people on the outside, to now we see this is exactly what was going on behind those closed doors. One would almost have to assume that she is a product of some sort of abuse as well. But to go that far still, to hurt your own children in those sorts of ways, gosh, it's just something that most could never really wrap their mind around with any sort of logic.
It's extremely tough to fathom. And this case strikes a bit different than like Lori Day Belvallo, who had a religious justification for killing her children.
Yeah.
But again, it's infanticide with that deranged rationalization. And then you have Murdoch, who, convicted of shooting his own son, getting a rationalization for kind of the legal trauma they're under, whether he was, direct fire or indirect fire, how that all transpires in a tragedy. And all these cases, you can see some sort of horrendous psychotic rationality behind it. This one, it's just pure no. I mean, this is just broken brain. I'm not a big believer in people are unfixable, but I don't think this one's fixable. I think she just needs to be put away and never touch a human being again. Yeah. This is just very severely broken brain. And you can just feel and sense the difference in her compared to these other people that have killed their own children. Oh, and also the other one I wanted in like Ruby Frank.
Yeah.
So here's, a mother and her wacky friends abusing their own children, rationalizing it by society, saying, hey, the world's gotten soft. This is how we do discipline. And they're abusing their children. Well, they're accused of it now. So all these things, you're seeing all these rationalizations for the behaviors. And this woman has no rationalization. She's just gone.
Yeah. I think that there's no other way of putting it. She is gone, and put her away somewhere where no one ever has to be affected
very broken
by that evil again. All right, let's move over to Alec Murdaugh.
Isn't that kind of crazy? We've had all these cases with kids, and this one is really broken.
It's one of the worst of the year, I think. And that takes a lot. It takes a lot these days.
That's a very broken brain, man.
To reach that bar.
I'm not an evil guy, but that is a very off.
Yeah,
it's like, what did the universe do to create that mess?
What is firing in that brain that says, yeah, this is our,
not much.
Our best.
Not much is firing at all. That's pure mammalian brain going.
Yeah.
Sick of the ads?
We are too.
Start listening with no commercials now and get access to all of our episodes in advance of everyone else.
Become a True Crime Today Premium Plus subscriber on Apple Podcasts.
Search True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts or go to our podcast page and sign up now.
True Crime Today Premium Plus.
Sign up now.